So it's here, people. Right here in my hands is the brand new Denon PRIME GO Plus. This is the successor to the very popular Denon PRIME GO and is the definition of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, when I say that, other than looking at this thing, besides the brand new silver color it has, it's pretty much the exact same controller. The same size, the same weight, the same layout, the same buttons. It's exactly how you remember it in the original PRIME GO, but there is one major difference, and the difference is inside. It has a brand new proprietary DRM chip that gives it 25% longer battery life, essentially another hour versus the old PRIME GO. This is gonna last about 5 hours. It also allows you to stream Amazon Music in addition to everything else you could stream on this bad boy. And overall, the interface is just a lot more quicker because it has a more efficient system design. Now, with that being said, the only thing that was deleted from the original PRIME GO was the Ethernet jack that was located right in the back right here. Now, Denon deleted it because most people use this for Wi-Fi and they just figured, like, why have it in there? Literally nobody uses it. But those few people that do use it, keep in mind, you can do a USB to Ethernet like adapter in the back and it'll still work the same way. Now, with this release, they're also releasing the brand new Engine DJ 4.1, which has some major upgrades that I'll talk about now because I'm making a separate video. Now, first of all, they added slip mode for the Go and the Go Plus, which I didn't even know it didn't have until now, so word. Good thing. The second thing they added was something called Smart Headphone Queue, which you can turn on, and basically what it does is it automatically assigns your headphone queue to the deck you just loaded a song on. So it saves you from doing this. And the third, and in my opinion, the most cool and clutch thing that they added with 4.1 is having a Bluetooth out on all their controllers. The Go's, the PRIME 4, the SC Live 2 and 4, and the mix streams all get a Bluetooth out essentially, which means all these controllers now can connect to any Bluetooth source and play to it. So a Bluetooth speaker that you got at Best Buy, bam, you can hook this bad boy right up to it wirelessly and it will play. And that's some crazy shit. Now keep in mind with the Bluetooth, you can't do in and out at the same time. So you can't have your phone, have a song on Spotify, you're playing the song on Spotify, it's going into the mixer and then going out to a Bluetooth speaker. It's not gonna do that. It's either in or out. But at the end of the day, I mean, why do you need that middleman? I don't know why you would need that. Like, if you're going to just play something off your phone, just hook your phone up to the speaker and call it a day. I mean, unless you didn't have a song and you were trying to get it and then it wasn't available in all the other streaming stuff that you had built into this. I don't know. I don't know why you would need it, but just keep in mind, you can't do in and out, people. You can't. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar, I'm going to give you a full rundown on this bad boy. It is a super compact powerhouse, battery-powered controller. Lasts about 5 hours without plugging in or anything. Love that. Very small footprint, about 16 inches wide, 10 inches this way, and a little over 2 inches tall. But I got to say, first impressions as far as footprint and whatnot, you would think a controller this small is going to be a little crowded, and it's really not. They basically spread it out the best they could and kind of gave it a little bit of a weird setup, but it's very intuitive in the way where you're not going to run into anything. You're not going to hit the wrong button. And they did this by being very, very practical. They included all the must-haves, right? Full size, really nice faders, full-size pitch fader with a lock in the middle, full-size play and cue buttons here, your masters and all your controls for like effects, everything. All the knobs are full-size and feel good. Big ass knob right here in the middle to control Engine DJ. Very intuitive layout and all that. But then they kind of saved space on some things that wouldn't really be useful in this controller anyway, like platters. These platters are tiny as shit, okay? Very, very tiny platters. I'm gonna be honest, they're not usable. You're not scratching on these too well, okay? They're not gonna be your scratch platters, but that's just not something you're gonna need in a controller like this. And speaking about scratching, they do have a full-size crossfader here, but they did not include a crossfader that's any good. This crossfader is, for a lack of a better word, trash, but again, not meant for scratching, and I'm sure if they included a legit crossfader here in the middle, that's going to up the price of this bad boy by a lot. So I don't blame them for not including it. I don't expect this to be a scratch controller. I'm just warning y'all that, you know, if you're into scratching, if that's your thing and you're going to use this for a performance type set, this ain't it, okay? These platters and this crossfader ain't it. You can do the bare essentials, but it's not precise. It's not going to be the same as your professional high-end line of controllers that are out there. They also included cue pads that are a little smaller than your standard, but they didn't make them so small where they're very hard to hit. I mean, I think they're still very intuitive in a perfect location and big enough where you're not going to hit the wrong one. Like, I think they still did a good job here, even though they're just a little smaller. Now, to give you a tour, you have your center mixing section with your 2 channels here, your 2 up faders here, your shift button to control a bunch of different things, your big knob for the engine DJ with back, forward, 2 load buttons, your sweep effects with an A/B assign, and your Q buttons for your headphones. That is if you don't have the new automatic smart headphone cue on. Now, each player section is mirrored exactly the same. So basically you have your play, your cue, your pitch blend here, super standard. Vinyl or slip mode can be activated here. Pitch fader with a lock in the middle. You have 4 pads right here that control your hot cue, your loop, and your roll. And then if you hit bank, it accesses the other 4 pads. So you have a total of 8 hot cues that you can use just like a regular controller. And you got a little loop knob right here, which is super fun. So you press play here. You can adjust how big your loop is with this knob. So let's do like an 8-bar loop. You click it, it automatically does an 8-bar loop for you. But then you can extend it to 16, up to 32, or bring it down all the way to a little, noise. Now, the EQs for each channel are actually located up here, a little unorthodox, but they did this to save space, of course. So you have your low, mid, and high cues for each channel, plus your gain knobs are right here. So they're basically located diagonal from the main channel here. Now, in the top left-hand corner right here, you have your effects section. Pretty cool, lots of different effects on board. Echo, echo out, swell, verb, delay, things I never even heard of. I mean, I think there's like 20-something effects here, and it's pretty easy to use, right? So you have your parameter here, you have your wet, dry knob right here. You can assign it to 1 or both, right? 1, 2, or both, and then your on, off button for the effects is right here. So pretty easy to use, located right here in the top left-hand corner. Then in your top right corner, you have your mic controls, your booth, and your master. So you got mic 1 and mic 2 with your on and off switch. Keep in mind, mic 1 can do talk over, mic 2 cannot. Then you have your booth volume and your master out. And then you have your eject button right here for your media, so you eject it the right way and you don't get your media all corrupt and stuff. So now we switched off the lights. Let's take a look at Engine DJ. The whole interface 4.1 is now out. Super, super cool. So I love the layout of it. You basically have your cue pads here located so you can see which cues, the names, everything are located right below here. I have vertical waveforms turned on with the library right now, but you can switch that to horizontal as well, which is pretty cool. People have preferences, right? So you have the horizontals right here or the verticals like I had. One thing it doesn't do that I could figure out anyway is that like the horizontals are stacked on each other. So if you look at the beat grid when you're mixing, it's way easier in horizontal mode than in vertical mode, because when you go to vertical mode, it separates by the library. So the library is basically in between the 2 waveforms. So it's a little harder to mix with the beat grid if that's how you mix. But if you mix by ear, like you should, you don't have to worry about that. Now, my favorite thing about Engine DJ is the customization. And it's really, really cool. And I'm going to show you some of my favorite little features and hacks that you can do within Engine DJ that I think is pretty unique. So if you swipe down here, you go to the settings. Number 1, it has AM mode. So you can hide title and artist right here by a switch, which is pretty cool. Now, if you head over here to mixer, you can actually change your EQ type to ISO, which is super fire. I know a lot of people prefer that. And you can even dial in the ISO EQ crossover. So you can actually pick which hertz it uses as a crossover when you're mixing with ISO. And then on top of that, right below there, you have your smart headphone cue that automatically selects cue on the deck you just loaded, so you don't have to hit this button. Talked about that earlier. I love how here in the mic settings, you can actually set an attenuation, right, up to 20 dBs, and you can also pick whether or not you want your mic to send through the booth. Not every mixer does that, okay? Sometimes they do it by default, sometimes they don't do it at all, and maybe you want it through the booth, or maybe you want to turn it off, and you don't want it through the booth at all, so you don't get feedback and whatnot. And I also love how you can customize the layout, and you also have 3 different views, so essentially 3 different profiles you can switch from. If you're sharing this controller with someone else, or if you're using this controller for different applications, you can easily switch between views, and the views include your waveform orientation, whether or not you want it horizontal or vertical, performance pads within it, the performance library, your library being in the middle there, your effects, and then your text size, whether you want it standard or large. Standard is going to show more song choices than large, obviously. It depends how blind you are. And you have day mode, which is super fun. And you also have custom profiles. Now, you can access these profiles by logging in through Denon DJ, or you can access them by basically saving them to a drive, to your USB or to your SD drive. And this basically saves all your default settings from everything from playback, your cues and loops, you know, your display, your safety settings, right? Like, you know, if you're locking your playing deck, you know, needle lock, padlock, things like that. Library settings, key notation, right? Are you a Camelot person? Are you open key, flats, whatever? Like all the little details about how you like your mixer setup and how you like your settings and your defaults to be will save to your profile, and you can upload it direct in there. So you never have to worry about setting your settings again. And you also have your control center. This is basically where you can turn the quantize on, your continue, stop, start time, right? When you press the play or pause button, your beat grid edits, your X fader, the X fader contour, right? I have it set to cut here, sampler volume, Bluetooth volume, fader echo, and then your sources, your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, your record if you want to record directly on here, and then all your lighting controls. Because keep in mind, this will control hue lighting, this will control sound switch. This does a lot of stuff when it comes to lighting, all built in here, which is super, super cool. Now let's talk ports real quick, people. Our ins and outs. On the back, you're going to have every professional port you'd ever need, which is one of the reasons why this thing is so great, being portable and battery powered and small and all that. It really does have a legit setup. It can be used in any professional application. You got your XLR outputs here. You got your main out RCA. You got your booth outputs, right and left 1/4 inch. You got a RCA aux, and then you have 2 XLR 1/4 inch combo jacks for your mic 1 and mic 2. Super legit. You also got a little convenient stereo mono switch that's analog. So, you know, if you're a stereo guy, you can, or if you're a mono girl, you can, you know. And then if we move this right over here to the right, you got your USB-B, your USB-A, your power. Now on the front of this bad boy, you got your headphone jacks, your 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch. The 1/4 inch has a thread. You have your Q mix for your headphone, your level for your headphone, your aux volume for your RCA aux, and then you also have your SD card slot, nice and convenient right up front here. Now here's my 2 cents. There's a lot of uses for this, and you can use your own imagination, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm keeping this thing, I'm adding this to my arsenal, and this is how I'm gonna use it. Now the first thing I'm going to use it for is for ceremonies. Right now, I have an iPad Pro that I use with the DJ app. Works great. And this is a very easy replacement because it's also battery powered. I can have all the music right on here, and definitely for ceremonies that have multiple music changes where it's kind of tricky. You know, they might have like 6 songs in a ceremony. I'd love to have a hardware mixer to actually mix on to make it nice and smooth. So that's where I think this would shine, definitely for ceremonies. I don't think I'll use it every ceremony, but definitely more complicated ones, I'll bring this out. The second use is for a backup. Basically, I'm going to have my main crates on an SD card ready to go. I can also access all my personal BeatSource crates. If you're not aware, I curate all the wedding crates for BeatSource. So, they're essentially my crates that I use for weddings. So I can basically have those with a Wi-Fi connection right on here. So in the event that my mixer goes out or something crazy happens, this is really easy to bust out. It's battery powered. I don't have to run a power cord. I can plug the XLRs in and go and finish my wedding with this thing. And it's kind of good to have, because lately I've been bringing around a Rev 7 and it's kind of huge and kind of tough. And, let's be honest, God forbid something bad happened, I'd probably need a couple minutes to get that Rev 7 up and running. This is going to be a lot quicker. Now, I also think this thing is great for wedding after parties. It's an easy setup, battery powered, plug it in and go. But I'm personally not going to use it for after parties only because I need something more robust to mix on. I don't want to go to this and then be more limited in what I can do mixing wise. But if this works for you, if you could do everything you normally do mixing wise with this, then yeah, this is great for after parties as well. And honestly, just thinking out loud, especially with the Bluetooth out now, this is going to be my go-to just in general. I mean, I'm going to keep this around, and if I go to my little brother's house and, we're watching a game or something, or we're just hanging out and I want to control the music, he's having some people over, I'm going to bring this. I can always take this out of my truck and turn it on and hook into whatever Bluetooth speaker people have around, and I can mix around and I can DJ. I'm one of those guys that just likes to play the music. I like to be in control of the music. I like to DJ for people. I don't care if it's, hundreds or thousands or just 10 people in the backyard of a barbecue, or, just having people over at a friend's house or whatever. Like, I just like to DJ. So this is going to be my go-to. I'm kind of just going to keep this in my truck at all times, so I can always just bust this out whenever I need it and DJ whenever I want to. That's just, I don't know, selfishly, I'm looking forward to just having this on deck. So definitely a cool thing. Now, just like the original Prime Go, this bad boy is going to be going for $999, $1,000 MSRP. Good to see that inflation didn't affect this. You're getting it for the 4-year ago price. A question for the comments. Are you going to get this thing? Are you going to upgrade your current Prime Go and get the better chip, the better battery life, Amazon streaming and all that stuff? Or are you going to finally buy this thing? You know, you're kind of waiting on it. You know, you didn't want to buy the old Prime Go because it's been out for a couple of years. Or just in general, this ain't for you. Let me know in the comments, people. Let me know. I want to hear from you. But as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.